Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Closing the Deal. I am super excited to have our amazing guest today, Dr. Terry Soule. It has been just an honor to be working with you and help you sell your practice. And, you know, I got to tell you, people really want to hear from real life experiences from dentists. And like you literally just went through it all. You sold your practice, you went through the journey, you're able to talk about it now. And, I would love to hear, overall about you and tell the guests about you, where you come from, et cetera. But the first thing is, let's just call it what it is. When we had our first Dental Pitch Brokerage in-person event where you would, basically pitch your practice by being interviewed in front of these dentists, we changed it a little bit because we have walk-on songs now where you come into the room, everybody stand up clapping, which I think you had everybody stand up clapping, but there was no music, no song. If you could do it over again and you're getting this huge moment in your life, the biggest moment in your life, and you get to walk on to like the best song ever, what would your walk-on song be?
Oh gosh, I don't know if it would be something that would hype me up too much, but maybe like Must Be for the Money. I don't know.
Must be for the money. Okay, cool. That's awesome. Can you just maybe give everybody 5 minutes of your background, where your practice is located? Why'd you decide dentistry? Why'd you decide to transition? Give us a little bit of background.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I grew up in Michigan, and I came down to Florida after high school, and I went to the University of Florida. And originally I was going to be pre-med, but I decided that I didn't want to be so super linked to my job, handcuffed to my job, that I couldn't have a life. So I decided, well, maybe with dentistry, I'd have a little bit more freedom to have a life and make money. Plus, I could still be called doctor. um, so I ended up going to dental school at NYU. And my dad actually owned a business, an accounting business growing up, and I saw all the hours that he put in. And so at first, I really didn't want to open up my own practice. And so I actually worked as an associate for a bunch of different places for a while. But a lot of times it was me that was the only dentist that was there. And so the day-to-day fires, I had to be the one putting them out anyways. And then, I'd only end up getting maybe 27, 28% commission for what I was doing. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm running the numbers in my head because I'm a very analytical person. I don't think overhead is like 72, 73%. And so I decided, you know what, maybe it is better for me if I go and I buy a practice. So in 2016, I did my due diligence and I found a place that seemed pretty perfect for me in Orange City, Florida. That's about 30 minutes northeast of Orlando. I bought it from somebody that it was an established practice. He'd been there for a while, and he and I had kind of the same values. You bend over backwards for your patients. You treat your patients and your employees like family. It was more about quality than quantity. And so I ran my own practice for right up until this past October when I sold to Heartland Dental with the help of you guys.
That's awesome. What made you consider selling in the first place?
So remember I said that I didn't want to be tied to my job. I didn't want to be handcuffed to my job. Well, once I bought a practice, I was handcuffed to my job. Not just as far as the number of hours put in, although that is part of it. Even in your off hours, you're thinking about what can we do to boost sales, to boost productivity, to get more patients in. Do we need to hire this person? Do we need to hire that person? It's more of a mental and emotional thing that it just occupies all of your time and it occupies all of your emotions. And to be honest with you, it's kind of toxic to relationships. It's kind of toxic to your mental well-being owning a practice. I got so worried about, probably because I bought the practice and I had to get a loan in order to buy the practice. I got so worried about, well, I have to stay here. I have to get to a certain number. Otherwise, I'm going to take a bath on this purchase, and I like to consider myself financially savvy. So I don't like taking baths on major purchases like that. It was almost like I was locked into, okay, we need to get this up. We need to get it up. We really do. If we were having a bad month or bad couple months, bad quarter, it wasn't just that I made less money during that bad month or bad quarter. It's that the value of the practice went down as well. And so all the more I was like, okay, I can't sell because I need to get, the value back up. So it makes for every time a patient would do something that I thought would be really damaging to the office, a bad review, for example, every time, we'd lose an employee that was really important. Anytime something happened that I thought was really going to negatively affect the office, it just really hits you that much harder, like way harder. And eventually I started saying, this really isn't worth the emotional and mental stress. One of the reasons why you work so hard to go to dental school and, be a quote unquote success is so that you can be happy. Well, you're not happy if you're always stressed out about things.
Just the pressure of everything, owning the practice and all that weight being on your shoulders, to have that off your shoulders is really a relief. Is there anything that you would have done differently in the year or years leading up to selling the practice or deciding you want to sell? Is there something you would have done differently than you did?
Yeah, there's a few things. I actually sold somewhat impulsively. My fiance is actually the one that said, at least let's just like reach out and look and see, what you could get for the practice. I actually planned on selling to a different person, a private equity buyer, not really a DSO, kind of a small group, the year before. And he made me an offer that I thought was better than what I could get elsewhere. But then the actual process of selling to him just dragged on and dragged on and dragged on and dragged on. So there's a couple of things. One is I would have prepared for it a little bit better. Maybe I would have gotten another hygienist in. Maybe I would have gotten another dentist in, to boost our productivity a little bit more. Maybe the last year before I actually went and tried to sell, I would have tried to really do everything I could, even if it sacrificed maybe a little bit more long-term success or sacrifice my personal take-home pay to increase the EBITDA and increase the overall production. But then the other thing I would have done is I would have hired a brokerage firm right from the get-go, because the other person that I was planning on selling to, I think one of the reasons why it didn't go through is just there was just problems with communication from Jump Street. It was me talking to my lawyer, who then talked to his lawyer, who then talked to him. And then just the telephone that we had back and forth just led for some hard feelings and led for massive, massive delays. And then the delays led to more hard feelings because we thought, okay, why is this not getting done? And it just kind of snowballed from there to eventually the point where I think we were both just ready to wipe our hands of it. And, like I said, I think if I had somebody that was committed to me and my needs and my desires and was kind of doing all the back scene work for me, because it did take a lot of time too, getting all the numbers and getting all the stuff that they needed. If I had somebody from the get-go that was in my corner and was kind of helping me out with all this stuff and kind of, pushing everything forward, making sure that we were getting things done on time, that it wasn't like a month and a half that went by in between my lawyer hearing from his lawyer hearing from my lawyer, or us hearing back from either of the lawyers. I think that would have helped a lot. And if nothing else, it would have helped my sanity a whole lot.
Yeah, right. Got it. For people that have never, a lot of people have not sold before. Can you kind of go through the process from your lens of once you signed working with us with Dental Pitch Brokerage, what was it like working with the team as far as like communications, like with Dental Pitch Brokerage? What was the process as far as, was it difficult? And I want you to be just very transparent. Give people that are looking to sell like a vision of what it was actually like going through the entire process, because it's not necessarily an easy process. We try to make it as fun and stress-free as possible, but what was that like for you? Take us through the process.
Well, I'm very skeptical by nature, and I'm very tight with my pennies by nature. So just taking on a brokerage company, I was kind of skeptical and, is this really worthwhile? But I have to say that Jason made it so much easier. The communication with Jason was perfect. He kept in touch with me. I kept in touch with him. Anytime I had a concern, I could voice it to him. And he was great at being able to be honest with me, but also not being condescending, making me feel like my voice was heard. So I really do feel like he had my best interests at heart rather than just, let's go and get this done no matter what. Like, there were a couple of times there where I said, I really don't know that this is enough for me. I don't like this. I don't know that this is worthwhile for me. I don't know that I want to do this. And he talked to me and he said, I don't know that you're going to get much more, but I understand, let's see what we can do. So he really helped me a lot. I feel really good about, I was able to get the absolute maximum that I could at the time. And I didn't ask for so much that I blew the deal, but I also didn't close the sale thinking, man, I wonder if I could have gotten a little bit more for that if I would have just held out.
Yes. I remember being at the airport and Jason calling me and saying, hey, we got the increase.
And it was a pretty significant increase too. Jason was really excited about the initial offer, but the more I thought about it, the more I thought about, the offer itself is pretty good, except that the follow-up, I didn't like that as much. And so even though it was a okay, good, fair offer, I kind of wanted an excellent, unbelievable, blow you out of the water offer in order to continue to work for this company, which was part of the contract, which is part of most contracts, is that you have to continue to work for them. And I was really worried about that part of it. And so for me, that meant, okay, well, then you better really blow me out of the water with the offer. And so, yeah, it was a significant increase that we asked for. And frankly, I didn't really expect that we would get it. I thought maybe it would be the start of maybe a new negotiation. But they agreed to it. And I was flabbergasted. I was really surprised. I was like, oh, wow, I can't believe that they agreed to that. That's great. That's excellent. I guess I'm selling my practice.
That's right. And can you tell us, like, what was the decision around the real estate in the building that your practice was in? Like, some of the sellers, they have real estate, some don't. You did. Can you kind of take us through like the mindset of what happened? What was the decision to keep it versus to not have it? And for doctors that have real estate, any advice, any feedback?
Yeah, I've always wanted to keep my real estate. I bought it 2 years after buying the practice. That was kind of worked into my initial purchase agreement when I bought the practice. And I actually had a really good mentor. The person I bought the practice from, like I say, it was an established practice, and he was a really good mentor. And he stayed on for 2 years to help with the transition. And the more we talk, the more I realize, this is really the real estate is really one of the best investments that you can get, dental real estate. So I always wanted to keep my property. I told Jason that from the get-go. I said, is it a deal breaker? No, it's not a deal breaker, but it's a pretty important factor. And fortunately, that was one of the things Jason was able to do for me was, broker me a deal where I did get to keep the building. And honestly, that may end up long term being the biggest thing for me, because who knows where I'll be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years from now, whether I'll still be working for this company whether I'll still be working for Harlan or not. But I plan on owning the building for a very long time. And so this is something that's going to reap me profit for a very long time. It's almost like my retirement plan.
Wow, that's awesome. And how has the transition been so far? I mean, you're early, right? You're fresh out. The good and the bad. I mean, the how has it been? How's it been on your team? How's it been on you? The transition so far. I know oftentimes there's changes whenever this acquisition happens. How's that been?
Well, I'm not going to lie, it's been a very big transition, but it's also not been a very big transition. There's a lot of new implementations and systems that we're trying to implement, but at the same time, I can sometimes be impatient, and we're now 2.5 months in, and a lot of the systems haven't been implemented. So we're actually at a point right now where I'm kind of getting a little antsy as far as, okay, when are we going to start, implementing some of these? I mean, we haven't even changed our software yet. We were on the software, cloud-based software called Fuse. It's a relatively new software system. And Harlan uses Dentrix. And I had no problem changing the software, but apparently the IT guys have problems changing the software. So, and not being able to change even the dental software makes it difficult to do a lot of for the kind of office manager to do a lot of the things that she wants to do, as far as watching the numbers, as far as, making sure that people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, because she's not really familiar with Fuse. So it has been quite the transition. There's a lot of extra time that I am spending in Harlan's different seminars, and just their different ways of doing things, changing from our scanner to their scanner, took a couple days training, going from our clear aligner system to their clear aligner system, there's going to be a couple days training. There's your regular follow-ups, there's changing over the accounts payable, all the things that were billed for 9 years in my name, now changing all those things over into their name. I mean, to be honest with you, I was never the best at keeping track of all of those things myself. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to sell, is because I felt like we were a little disorganized, and I thought Harlan would come in and be very much more organized. And I think they will be. It's just, it's a much longer process than I first anticipated. And at this point, I'm trying to be patient that, we'll get done eventually. Just I need to try to be patient with it all.
Awesome. Would you be open to coming back maybe a year from now and interviewing how, your year post?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. As a matter of fact, I talked to my fiance, who also happens to be my hygienist, by the way. I'm very blessed at that, because she is the best. She's the most invested employee you could ever have. But we talk about that. We talk about, okay, well, at what point should we really start getting concerned? And we both agree, okay, 2.5 months into it, really too soon to be too concerned, especially with our specific situations. We've kind of thought, okay, well, probably by this summer, probably within 6 to 8 months post sale, that's really when we can really have a good feel for, okay, how is this really going? I will say, one thing that I was really concerned with, I don't know if this is if I'm preempting you on any of your questions or not, but one of the things that I was concerned with as far as the transition, that I think a lot of private practice owners would be concerned about as far as selling to a DSO, is, are they going to make me do a bunch of things that I don't want to do? Are they going to come in and dictate treatment? Are they going to come in and kind of say, okay, you need to start doing these procedures you haven't done for, 10, 15 years. Are you going to, are they going to start pushing you to like diagnose a crown on every tooth that really you would normally just diagnose a filling on? So that's one thing that I will say in Harlan's favor, is Harlan has communicated great they haven't pushed me even a little bit. They do seem like they are very well set up and very well organized. Again, it's just kind of implementing their organizational scheme and system onto our practice. But I think once we kind of get locked in, it's something where I could see, it being a really good partnership, just because, like I say, it doesn't seem like they're the type of greedy corporation that is going to make me do a lot of things where I can't sleep at night.
Right. Yeah, that is very important. And, this DSOs in general, have caught along the years a bad name for that thing specifically. And I try to tell everybody, like, it's not like, first off, there are so many groups out there, large dental organizations, and not all groups are the same. There's some that are drastically different. I can tell you firsthand, Heartland is not, they're amazing. And the culture is amazing. The people are amazing. And so that's really refreshing to hear you say that, the biggest fear is them getting you to push, things that you don't want or that you feel out of your integrity, and they don't do that. So I think that that's awesome. We're doing things completely out of the box with Dental Pitch Brokers, right? Like these live events. Can you just quickly say your experience from actually going to a live event and pitching at the live event? What was that like for you?
Well, I don't mind public speaking myself. I've never been somebody that's really been too shy when it comes to that type of situation. And so for me, it was revolutionary and amazing and kind of a little fun, but definitely worthwhile, because it was just so efficient. It was so great to be able to talk to so many different people all at the same time. And it was so nice to be able to weed out the ones that weren't interested, and the ones that are interested to be able to kind of kickstart, the process as far as getting them everything. It streamlined things a lot, which was really, really nice. We did the event at FDC, I think was the end of June. And I had a letter of intent from Heartland, within a month and a half, and had sold within 3 months. And most of that was just lawyer stuff. I mean, and most of the deals had been ironed out. I was very impressed with how streamlined Dental Pitch Brokerage, and especially the FDC event and the Dykema events, how much they streamlined things and how much they kickstarted and just kind of accelerated the sale of the practice. I was very happy with that because, again, I just gotten out of a year-long process where we were just kind of spinning our wheels.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. And that's what I've heard from other sellers as well, is it's like something didn't go right with the deal they were going, and it was taking a year. And then they came over and worked with us, and it's been just expedited. And I think the biggest thing is look, there's pros and cons to meeting the actual buyer immediately, right? Because you kind of want to take, personal personalities out of it and just look at the data and at the end of the day, though, if you and them, if the buyer and the seller don't have a good culture and personality fit, you really kind of wish you would have knew that at the very beginning. So being able to meet all these buyers in person and actually see, like, what do you like? What do you want? What's your vision of 3, 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road? I think it really makes it so you're not wasting your time talking to the wrong buyer for a long time. And then you get to meet, you're like, oh, this is not going to work.
Yep. I absolutely agree. The way the event was set up, there were multiple people that were interested, but it didn't take very long to figure out which ones were interested because they wanted to change and make everything homogenized, and which ones actually valued you and your culture. Heartland, again, I want to give them credit for something. They care more about just the numbers. Frankly, our numbers weren't as impressive as I would have hoped. And there's lots of reasons for that. But I thought the character of our practice, the things that you don't always see up front, one of the things that's really important as far as the practice that the DSOs are buying is the dentist. I mean, they're essentially, they're not just buying the practice, they're buying the dentist and his abilities and his personality and what he's going to bring to the table. And not to toot my own horn, but I like to think that was one of the things that impressed Heartland, was not so much the numbers, but me and my relationship with my patients and my relationship with my employees, my team, and so I think Heartland valued that a lot more than some of the other people that were interested additionally. And so, again, I think that the event was really great because it weeded out those people that were over-focused on numbers, because that wouldn't have been a good relationship for us. We have the foundation in place as far as the character and the reputation and the rapport with patients, and the dentist who can come in and can do good quality work, can do it efficiently, but then also still have rapport with the patients. We have that foundation. What we need is we need somebody who can actually make us a little bit more efficient with the bottom line. And, Harlan valued our foundation, and that I don't think all of the people that were interested cared quite as much about the foundation. It's just, oh, this is one more, underwhelming office, that, we'll just come in and we'll homogenize, we'll make just like our other offices. So, and that's made for a really good partnership with us and Harlan. And I give the Dental Pitch Brokerage and the event a lot of credit for making it so that Harlan and I could find each other.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. Last question, just a quick question. There are dentists that are like, I don't know if I want to retire in 5 years, in 3 years. I don't know when I want to sell. There's this big question of when, right? And some are saying, man, I want to retire next year, which is actually, I think, a bad idea for waiting until the last year. But like, in your shoes, you're just, you're right in the thick, and you're young, which is like, you're really young. You've done really well for yourself. Can you give the answer of a quick answer on this? When should dentists look to sell? When should they reach out and talk to us in the first place? But when?
Oh, it's such a great question. I really do think that it depends on your own personal priorities and values. My priorities, frankly, they kind of evolved. Right out of school, I was like any ambitious dentist. I said, oh, I have this degree that's going to give me a lot of money. Let me go and chase it. And then after working for a couple of places that weren't too much fun to work for, then it became, okay, well, where can I make money, but then also, enjoy life? But then eventually it really became, listen, I really need this work-life balance. My goal has always been to retire early. The earlier, the better. That's always kind of been a priority of mine. That actually hasn't changed, where I finally made a little bit of a change of decisions, or what kind of me into saying, okay, let me try to sell and start this retirement process, was I realized it doesn't have to be, okay, a race to the mark, a race to the finish line. It doesn't have to be, or more specifically, a race to X number. I need X in order to retire. And so let me just get to X as soon as I can. It doesn't have to be that way. My plan, frankly, is I'm going to get pretty close to X, but because I am younger, I'm going to be 46 in a couple weeks. My plan is, okay, I have enough that I don't need to worry about what I'm doing. I don't need to be at a job that I really hate going to. I don't have to own a practice that I dread going to, that gives me the Sunday scaries. I've gotten to a point personally where I've made enough money, not necessarily where it can sustain my lifestyle for the rest of my life, and thus I can retire officially, fully retire, but enough money that I could go very long gaps without working. If I decide, hey, I don't like it here. That, by the way, was one of the other things that was really great about the deal with Harlan, was that it was set up in a way where if things don't work out with Heartland, it's not that big of a deal for me to leave. And so I have now the flexibility that, if I like where I'm at and it's making me the money I want, and it's a pretty cush gig, then yeah, great. Let's keep doing it, and let's do it, as long as it keeps being something that I enjoy doing, and something that's making me money and seems worthwhile, then yeah, that's great. But if it doesn't, well, that's fine too. Now I have the ability that I can wait for that perfect job. I can hand pick that perfect job. So I think everyone's different. Everybody has a different end goal. Some people, they really want to live lavishly. And listen, living lavishly means making a lot of money. And if you aren't currently making a lot of money, or even if you are, but maybe you don't have as much saved up, maybe your investment portfolio hasn't done as good as you'd hope. Well, listen, if you want to keep that lavish lifestyle, you have to do what you have to do in order to do that, which usually means working whatever jobs bring in that kind of cash that gives you the lavish lifestyle. I've never been a lavish lifestyle type of person. I've always liked living more frugally and having more freedom. So for me, when I realized that I could do that, when I could sell and give myself that flexibility, that work flexibility, that freedom of choosing where I work, when I work, and being able to, sell in order to achieve that freedom. Once I was able to get to a point where I wasn't going to feel, like I had failed in order, I'd given so much up in order to achieve that. That's when I decided, okay, yeah, this is right for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And maybe we talk about this on the one in a year, but it's interesting once you get a bag of money, and you're still working, how that money can actually work for you, and you can invest it in the right places and with compound interest and all of the above. It can be a fun journey in the next 5 years with the money that you already have, because you're able to take a chunk and go in and invest it. So maybe that's one of the topics we talk about in the next time. And look, I wasn't going to say this, but I'm going to go ahead and let the cat out the bag here. Anybody listening can hold me to it. One of the best things about my business partner, Matt Ornstein, is he likes to do things really big, and he likes to show appreciation. We'll just put it like that. And you, my friend, are one of the people that we get to show appreciation to. And what we're going to do, as I told you pre-call, is we're actually going to send all of our dentists who have sold with us and all of our buyers who have bought with us and anybody who's referred any practice to us on this kind of, ultra VIP luxury vacation, somewhere tropical, first class, U+1, put you in a suite and, the whole thing, lobster tail, crab legs, and then more than anything, get a celebrity performer to do a private concert for us. You're going to get a chance to experience that. I actually like to interview you after that.
Absolutely. Hey, that sounds amazing. I mean, that's really exciting and above and beyond. I can't wait for that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good vacation for the people that sold it. So I'm excited. That's the first time I said anything to anyone. First, the world that's listening now knows as well. That's going to be like our only marketing event. So going to be happy to have you. And I'm going to actually make it a point to interview you.
Absolutely. I mean, that's above and beyond. That's amazing. And it's really great. I think probably a lot of sellers, after they sell, they say, oh man, I just paid so much money. I was expecting so much more, but part of it, went to the brokerage and part of it went to the lawyer. And you start, kind of saying, oh, what happened to this bag that I was going to have? That's really nice when you have a company that like Dental Pitch Brokerage that is so nice and kind and good to their clients as far as doing that. That's such a awesome, exciting thing. I'm at a loss for words right now because I'm so excited about it.
Hey, we're excited as well. This first one's going to be amazing. We're going to do it with the bag, and of course, every year after that, we're going to top it, and we'll have you continue to keep coming back. So, thank you so much. We appreciate you coming on, closing the deal with us. We appreciate you working with us. And any last words for the audience?
If you find yourself dreading going to work on Monday, then you got to figure out a way of getting out. And Dental Pitch Brokerage, I highly recommend them. At least talk to them. It's worth talking to them. At the very least, just reach out and see what's going on, because they won't steer you wrong.
Awesome. Hey, we appreciate you. And for the viewers listening, we'll catch you on the next episode. And don't forget to come back and we'll just call it 9 months to a year after he's come back from his tropical retreat and see how life is a year post-sale. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.